Hey, I'm Gabby Zakara, and I'm going to be sharing with you my journey from junk food vegan to raw vegan, how I transitioned pretty much overnight, and 5 of the main tips I would advise you to do before you actually make the raw plunge. So I went raw probably about 4 or 5 years ago when I first met my spiritual teacher, and before I met him, I was a junk food vegan, and all I ever ate was fake sausage rolls, fake burgers, pizzas, pastas, stir fries, everything beige. I barely ever ate any fresh fruit or vegetables, like at all. And so when I first met my spiritual teacher and he taught me about spiritual enlightenment, he said that in order to be enlightened, you need to build your chi, your life force energy, and you need to go raw for at least 4 months in order to build your chi. So if you're ready to step up spiritually, to level up in your health, in your spiritual awareness, in your psychic gifts, then you are at the right stage. And I'm going to help you with 5 main things I'm so glad that I was guided through when I first went raw. So the first one is doing a cleanse. This is one of the most important things, because if you've been eating shit up until you want to go raw, if you eat healthy, then you're probably okay, unless you was eating animal products. But what happens is, if you're eating refined carbohydrates and sugars, those foods get stuck in your colon. And what happens is, if you try and just go raw straight away, then when you are eating all the good food, all the nutrients, when you eat raw, you actually need to eat like 3 or 4 times as much as what you would normally eat, because you digest it so much quicker. And so when you are eating raw, you're getting all these nutrients and you're getting the life force energy from the food, which is your chi. So it's great for your spiritual work. But when the food's going through you, if you haven't cleansed first and done a full colon cleanse before you start, then all that junk food, all that processed food, all the sugars and everything that's stuck in your colon, all the meat, it will basically stop and block your colon from being able to absorb the nutrients and minerals from the healthy food. So you need to absolutely, before you start raw, do a colon cleanse to fully flush all of that out. One that I would highly recommend is in the book The Way of Emotion by Chris T. If you're over 18, I would get the over 18s version, because it explains all about the ego, your emotions, and actually enlightenment and how to achieve enlightenment. It's pretty much the journey that I've been on, and it talks about the value of raw. It also has a step-by-step guide on a colon cleanse using Prune Juice, which I have used every single time, and I found it really great way of flushing yourself out. It takes 1 day to do, and I love that one, but there's loads of cleanses online you could find. A colon cleanse is what you would need to do first, so that you all the crap is out your system and you can really absorb everything that you eat. So the second thing I would always advise is to get into ketosis. So ketosis is a state that your body naturally gets into when you've fasted for 2.5 to 3 days. So this is why when people do fasts, they start fasting, maybe they'll feel like shit for a few days, maybe they'll be really hungry, they'll be having cravings for all the food that they usually eat, and it gets to a point 2.5 to 3 days in where suddenly they go, wow, it's like everything's changed. I feel so much better. I've got energy again. I'm not hungry anymore. And for all of these reasons, it's because the body has gone into a state called ketosis. And ketosis starts creating ketones within the body. And it basically uses fat as a source of fuel rather than the carbs. So when you get into ketosis, it actually corrects the chemistry of your brain and your gut flora. So gut flora, great to start producing all the good stuff again, ready for your new diet. But when it corrects the chemistry of your brain, it actually resets all your set points back to balance, which means that if you had any addictions to the wheat, the refined carbs, the sugar, it corrects them, it resets them and turns off the out of balance, so that it means then that you don't have the addictions anymore. It just kind of turns them off and resets them. So as long as you don't then eat any of the junk food after it, you'll stay in balance and you won't then desire any of that crap anymore. So ketosis is a massive, powerful healing tool. It repairs DNA, it cures cancers if you stay in ketosis for long enough. It can help with schizophrenia, mental imbalances, it sharpens my eyesight, turns off your hunger. There's loads of benefits for keto. which is why when animals aren't well, they'll kind of stop eating because they're trying to get the body into ketosis because it's so healing. So I would absolutely advise ketosis because it'll give you a chemical reset of the brain and the gut flora. So it'll make sure you're creating some really good gut flora ready for your new diet. And it also resets and turns off any addictions you might have had to the wheat, to the carbs, and to the sugar. So it really helps you get past that stage of really craving all that crap food that you used to eat. Now, there's actually a trick in that the Way of Emotion book. Actually, there's a trick in there that shows you how to get into ketosis in an hour rather than needing to fast for 2.5 to 3 days. So I actually used that trick when I wanted to quit smoking, because when it turns off and resets the chemistry of your brain back to normal, it's not just for food, but it does it for all addictions as well. So that helped me finally give up smoking my cigarettes, but that is for another video. So number 1, do a cleanse. Number 2, get into ketosis. Either fast for it or feel free to have a look at that book. There's another book as well. It's called Matrix Magic by Leo. That's actually got 20 different ways to trigger ketosis in under 5 minutes. So that's the way that I use now, the quickest way to get into ketosis. And I personally, if I was doing it with one of those ways, the book's actually about magic, so it shows you how to get into ketosis in under 5 minutes using magic. So there's spells, there's mudras, there's crystals to hold, and I personally now use the spells, and I would actually do the ketosis first, then the cleanse, then I'll probably do ketosis again. So I'd wake up, do ketosis spell in the morning, do the cleanse for the whole day. In the evening, maybe do the ketosis spell again, just in case having all that prune juice knocks you out of ketosis. And then next thing I would do then is step number 3, which is set a goal. So you want to make sure you've got a goal in mind that you want to achieve, because starting a new diet, it's quite tricky. It's easy to just start wanting your normal food, the food you're so used to, and the food that your body is used to digesting. So have a goal, 1 week, 2 week. It gives you the structure and strength to achieve something, a reasonable goal, and at least then you can go back to your old ways and then maybe do another goal and keep expanding that goal. And I find it much easier to tackle something or change my life step by step rather than just trying to go, right, my life's fully changed now and I'll never go back to the old way again. I found it easier to set the goal. So my goal, when my spiritual teacher said, if you want spiritual enlightenment, he said raw for 4 months. Now, like I said, I was eating junk food before that, so I didn't know how I would do it. I couldn't see how I could possibly do it. However, my desire and my drive to become enlightened outweighed any desire for junk food or cooked food. I wanted to just try it and see enlightenment and experience it, and then just go back to my old ways if it was shit or there was nothing to it. So I first managed to do about a week. My very first raw meal, it was basically like I chopped up like some carrots, some peppers, and basically put a bit of soy sauce on, and I ate it, and I threw up. I threw up straight away because I wasn't used to eating that food, so my body didn't know how to digest it at all, and I was so sick. And so when you eat raw, you need to give yourself enough time for your body to get used to it, for your taste buds to change and start craving the good, raw, healthy food, and also for your body to heal. And 4 months is optimum time if you can at least get yourself up to the 4-month mark. When I first started out, like I said, I was sick the first time I had that food, and then about 2 weeks in, I was having really bad tummy ache, and I didn't feel well. And there's something that people experience called a healing crisis. And it's basically when your body's been eating junk food and processing crap for so long, for me like 25 years of eating crap, what happens is then when you're starting to eat good food and you're eating food that's so easy to digest, the real food that your body's meant to be having, it allows your body to go, finally, I can finally stop trying to fight and get rid of these toxins and trying to fight all this junk fuel that you've been feeding me. Finally, I can stop digesting and I can spend that energy and time on healing instead. This is why so many people manifest disease and illness, and they never, it just comes up, springs up on them, and it's something that was years in the making, and yet they just find out they've had it. And this is because the body's not had time to get all the energy to get rid of the toxins and actually process all the crap that you've been eating. And so I had really bad tummy ache the first 2 weeks. It was a healing crisis because it turns out I had a stomach ulcer that might have been there for years, but when I was eating the sugars and the junk food, it was physically numbing my stomach and I couldn't feel it. And so what was happening was I felt worse. I had lack of energy, but that was because my body was starting to heal. And sometimes it feels like you're going backwards before you go forwards, but you need to give yourself enough time to get through that. And also, people talk about having parasites if you're eating, say, meat. Well, if you at least go on like some kind of a fast or doing cleanses or a parasite cleanse or eating raw, if you go for at least 3 months, 3 months is the time it takes to not only kill all the parasites or starve them off, but also the eggs as well. And so when the parasites are in your system, they feed off junk food, they feed off sugar, they feed off meat. And so if you stop eating those foods, which you will when you go raw, then it's only a matter of time before you completely cleanse your system. And parasites, they can even control your mind. They can release chemicals to make you crave the types of food that they eat. And so you get your mind back, you get your psychic gifts back, you get your awareness back, you get your health back and your energy. And once you've gone past this stage of healing and starting to absorb the nutrients and starting to regrow and lighten up in your spirituality, you'll start to really notice the powerful benefits of raw. And then after you've hit your target, your 4 months, and you decide maybe you want to go back to cooked food, you do that and you see how you feel. Because I did that. As soon as I had my 4 months, I was like, right, I'm getting some sweet potato chips with some fake vegan cheese on, and I thought that's going to be my treat. And I ate cooked food for like 2 weeks, and I felt like pure shit. I felt so bad, and I was like, wow, you can really see the difference, like night and day, between being raw and then eating your cooked food. But you have to experience it to actually see it for yourself and to know the power of raw for yourself. Because like I said, no one was getting rid of those sausage rolls and those pizzas for me unless I had a real reason, and unless I'd actually experienced how good you can feel and what life is like on the other side of health. I would have just stayed there in my comfort zone, eating the junk food because it numbs me and it feels good. So you need to get through the tough part, the sticky part, the part that's not necessarily that enjoyable, getting over the addiction to the crap food, making a new life for yourself, getting rid of the old habits and starting the new. And I promise you, you will love how life feels at the end of it when you achieve that goal. And if you don't, go back to your old ways. So number 4 is basically don't tell anyone. As much as you can, don't tell anyone that you're going raw. And the main reason is because people can have their own beliefs, their own thoughts about eating raw, about being vegan, about going on diets, about fasting, all of these things. People always have opinions and their beliefs, and what they often do is project their own beliefs and what they can and can't achieve onto you. Now, it's not just a case of they think that and it doesn't matter to you, you can stay in your own lane. When people have these thoughts and beliefs about you, they literally put spells on you. Their thoughts are impressions, their energy impresses onto you. And it becomes a spell, an energetic cloak or a layer, a veil on your game that will actually physically make you not feel like you can do it, make you crave the junk food, make you struggle, make it hard, all of the things that could stop and block you from achieving it. When people project those thoughts onto you that, say if they didn't think they could do it, like I probably would have been the same when I first was hearing about raw. I probably said the thoughts of, oh, I bet that's well hard. I bet you don't have any energy being raw. But where do you get your protein from being vegan? I bet people are really lethargic. And when you say things like that, and I cancel and delete all those spells instantly, when you say things like that, when you have those beliefs, when you radiate that energy onto people, onto situations, you're casting those spells and you literally make it difficult for them. And by telling people that you're going raw or what you're trying to achieve in life, their impressions can actually trip you up. They can hold you back energetically and stop you from achieving your highest potential. If you are with a partner, make sure that they're on board with it too. Just make sure as much as you can, you don't really tell anyone that is what you're doing. The last thing is basically just to let go of all the fancy food and all of those foods that you really liked, like the pizzas, the sausage rolls, whatever it is that you like. Be ready to let it all go and let go of the confusing, complicated stuff. Let go of going and eating out. The way of life of eating cooked food and eating with your friends is so different to being raw, because not a lot of restaurants do raw, and a lot of the time they'll have cooked sauces or they'll have chickpeas on that are cooked and things like that. And also, you'll find that you need to prep more if you are wanting to make fancy things. If you want to make yourself a pizza, it's like 12 or 24 hours of prepping and put it in a dehydrator. And so when I first went raw, I was making raw vegan chicken nuggets. I did make pizzas. I did make sausages. I loved them at the time because it helped me transition. But honestly, it took up so much of my time. It would be weekends of me trying to get all this food prepped for me to just eat it so quickly. And what I found is a way of being able to do raw practically and actually be able to just live day to day is just being okay with eating mono meals, eating loads of bananas, loads of fresh fruit, loads of salads. A massive big salad for tea every night, at least through the week, is a lot easier to actually get it done successfully than trying to or needing fancy food every single time. It's going to trip you up because you're going to need a lot of time to prepare it all. And then when you don't have it, and say if you weren't able to let it go, you feel like you're missing out. You feel like this raw food isn't good enough because you're still holding on to that past life and those past foods you used to have. Any of your favourite foods you can think of, you can actually make a raw version and it'll be yummy and delicious. And I used to do that, and eventually over time I was able to just kind of let those things go. If you want to spend your time doing that, you go for it, because you will love it and it'll feel so good and you'll enjoy it. But also be ready to have those times where just eat a load of bananas or a load of dates, or just make a massive salad, blend up a quick sauce and put it on. And talking of sauces, one thing that I found really useful when I first went raw is this very, very simple salad topper. So if it is that you don't have a lot of time, you just want to put a load of salad in a bowl, cut up some peppers, cut up some tomatoes, maybe put an avocado in, make a big bowl full of fresh salad, and you don't know how to make it taste nice, this is a recipe. It's so easy and you'll most likely have it in your kitchen cupboard already, but these are the 4 things to put on to make it so good if you don't have time to make a whole sauce. First thing is oil, so cold pressed rapeseed oil or cold pressed olive oil, some kind of oil. So drizzle the oil on, then put some salt on. I like Celtic sea salt. You can put Himalayan salt, don't use table salt, but put some salt on. Then put some apple cider vinegar on. Don't use, I think it's Bragg's, which Katy Perry and Bill Gates have got their hands on, but use a healthy apple cider vinegar. And then if you do want to, I don't have this anymore because it's not technically raw, but if you fancy it, then having some nutritional yeast. So sprinkling on oil, salt, apple cider vinegar and nutritional yeast, it'll make salads come to life. So I hope you've enjoyed those 5 tips from me. If you want any more tips or want any more information, then comment on this video below and I'll make another video in the response. Good luck, you'll do awesome.